Three, and then I'll say we're in the organizational meeting, and then we'll do the elections of
You're
officers.
good to go, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the December 11th, 2024 meeting to order for the Town Planning and Zoning Commission. Town Newington, please rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Noreen, can we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Clampy. Commissioner Fox.
Here.
Commissioner Minor. Commissioner Nathas.
Here.
Commissioner Cascarelli.
Here.
Chairman Sobieski.
Here.
Commissioner Woods.
Here.
Commissioner Groves.
Here.
Commissioner Hoffman. Commissioner Milano.
She said it was a quiet. She's here.
Okay, we're all set. I'd like to seat Commissioner Droz for Commissioner Claffey. I'd like to seat Commissioner Walkerman. Welcome. I'll get it yet. I got 3 more years ago for Commissioner Minor. Okay. Thank you. Approval of the agenda.
No changes to the agenda.
Okay. Mr. Planner, it's yours.
Okay, so we are in our organizational meeting for today. So first, we'll start with the election of officers. As kind of a reminder, there'll be a call for a nomination from the floor. If there is one nomination, then we'll proceed to just a vote for that. If there are more than one nominations, then we'll go and vote per each nomination. So for the first item, I'd like to call for a nomination for chairman.
I nominate Stanley Sobieski for chairman.
Second.
Any other nominations? And then the other question is, Chairman Sobieski, do you accept the nomination? Yes, okay. So hearing one nomination, no others, the nomination's been accepted, so I'll call for a vote. All in favor of Chairman Sobieski?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstaining? All right, unanimous. All right, the next officer position, vice chairman. So I'd like to call for a nomination for vice chairman.
I nominate Commissioner Stephen Woods.
Second.
Seconded by Nathas.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, I'd like to call for a vote for Vice Chairman Woods.
You want to ask, he wants to accept?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Do you want to accept?
Does it pay the same rate?
Yeah, same rate as before.
Okay. Double pressure.
No adjustments for inflation or, out of a zero, an adjustment still a zero. So, all right. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, unanimous. Now for the last position, the position of secretary. I'd like to call for nominations for the position of secretary.
I make a nomination, Gia Pascarelli be nominated for secretary.
Second.
Any other nominations? Hearing none. I'd like to call for, and actually, do you accept?
Yes.
And I'd like to call for a vote on the nomination for Secretary Pasquarelli. So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah, or we make the same amount.
I heard that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any
Just no pay
abstentions?
raise here.
Hearing none, unanimous and approved. So we have gotten through election of officers
Thank you.
Can't
quickly.
believe I'm doing it again.
Thank you, Mr. Planner. Okay. Next we have the sending of the meeting dates for 2025.
So these are all included. These are the same meeting dates that we went over on the last meeting. No changes are
Right.
proposed from then.
Was there a question, and I'm, Mike, when was Hanukkah, do you know, or Passover?
That's next year.
I know that, Mike.
I'm not sure, but,
Okay.
I think it was the question about the sundown to sun
yeah, well,
up.
the thing is, yeah,
Yep.
because I was gonna say this, whether it's Passover or Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah. I think this Rosh Hashanah next year is on the 24th. Or one of those dates where but it ends
Yep.
on a Wednesday at sundown.
At
We
sundown.
meet after sundown.
Correct.
So
Yep,
as far as
so,
I'm concerned, that's fine.
yep, that sounds good. That was the one question that I raised at the last, just in
Alright,
case.
So you're good with that, Mike?
Hmm?
You're good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We're all set with that. Any other questions on meeting schedule?
So we just need a motion to approve and a second and a vote.
Make a motion, we approve, the 2025 meeting schedules for the Town Plan and Zoning Commission. As
Second.
presented. Do I need to read them or no?
No,
We have a second, Mike.
Mike,
Got it. Okay.
and then the vote.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, now we'll go to public participation for items not listed on the agenda. And I think we're going to increase this to 3 minutes, Paul, or not? yet?
Yep, that, so what I've done is I put that bylaws at the end,
Okay.
so we would, we could get the applicant out the door.
Okay, very good. Anybody wish to participate? Please come up, state your name and address for the record.
Should be on. Green light. Bill McCarthy, 206 Churchill Drive. First off, congratulations on all your posts and stuff like that. Happy holidays to everyone. Thank you for changing the rules a little bit to give us a little bit more time to speak. I'm still concerned that we can't talk about anything that we want to talk about, but that's neither here nor there. Planning and zoning sort of dictates how we're going to develop the community. I have questions on a couple of properties. 220 Kitts Lane, they've actually removed one of the buildings there now, but that's still tied up in conservation. That piece of property is zoned turnpike development, or however it's worded, so that nothing can be built there for all practical purposes until conservation says that it's okay.
Correct.
But the TPZ hasn't decided what, if they want to change the zoning for that particular parcel to determine if anything can actually be built there. If it's all wetlands, then it's wetlands and there's not much we can do. The Olympia Diner came up for discussion as far as pre-authorization. I'm not sure how it was worded, about the overlooking the 35-foot restriction in the on the turnpike properties. Again, that's in the development zone, the turnpike development zone. That pretty much eliminates that property from anything going there at all, because it's what, 2 acres or something like that. There's
I don't know how many acres.
you had to have to build straight up to put anything on that property, like a parking lot with a building on top of it or something like that. There was one other, the big one is Hartford Hospital. That's zoned public property right now.
Public land.
Public land, I'm sorry. I would like to have the board or the commission consider how we can possibly rezone that for future development, pending the outcome of the master plan committee or whatever that Colliers is doing. I think that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just really quick, Gail Madrigal, 21 Innsville Terrace. I just want to congratulate the reelection of the officers and Hope that
You want, Gail, you gotta speak in
And
the
hope that
mic.
you'll-
You can't.
Yeah, Gail Badrico, 21 Isabel Terrace, congratulate all three of you on your reelection and hope you'll continue to work towards the betterment of the town and work cooperatively and in a bipartisan manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Anyone else?
Good evening, Robert Kane, 32 Walnut Street. Hello, Coach Nafis. I don't know if you remember. I just wanted to, I know that all of you as eighth grade Parks and Rec basketball, we won the championship. So I'm sure all of you in front of me are aware that there are 3 specific parcels in town that need to be rezoned in light of the development or redevelopment of the town center. And this is more to call attention to it for the residents of town who are watching the meeting rather than you all. But the 3 parcels are the Keeney site, which is currently zoned PD zone, planned development. That does not suit activities in the town center. Hartford Hospital site, as my friend mentioned, is public land. Obviously, that needs to be zoned. And there is a parcel to the north of that 50-acre parcel that's currently, I believe, residential 12.
R12, yeah.
R12. So just where's the camera?
Don't worry about it.
People of town, think about how you want to rezone that. The power is with the people. So sorry. Next comment is the BTC zone. Specifically the special permit requirements. I work for a law firm in Windsor Locks. We do municipal law, zoning law, insurance, subrogation, residential real estate. As it stands right now, I have no clients, no involvement in any projects coming up in the center. But it looks like the special permit requirements are unduly onerous. Specifically, I might be mistaken, but it looks like any special permit requires a traffic and parking analysis. I'm sure that was debated and there's good reason for that, but I think as times have changed and there's a lot more micro entrepreneurs, that type of thing. I think if we got rid of that, we would see, let's just remove barriers to entrepreneurs in the center. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone online?
No one has their hand raised.
If you wish to speak online, raise your hand. Seeing none.
Okay. Thank you. Remarks by commissioners. Any remarks by the commissioners? Okay. Next will be approval of the minutes from 11/25/24.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes from 11/25/24 as written.
Excuse me, yes, Commissioner Droz.
Page 12.
Okay, hold on. Okay,
It's a section of the meeting where Chairman Sobieski asked about comments from commissioners. And he looked down this way and Vice Chair Woods on your right had his hand up. So you said, Commissioner Drozd, and I was pointing at Commissioner Woods. So the statement of Commissioner Drozd to Mr. Dixon, if I'm reading this correctly, we really didn't reduce the bond, as well as the next quote down. That's not what this says, as well as the next quote down. If you want that on your shoulders, was actually all Commissioner Woods. It was not me, sir. And that was the reason why you looked at me. You looked down this way looking for comments. And I was like pointing to Commissioner, to Vice Chair Woods. Exactly, because he was on the other side of your head with his hand up. So I was just kind of going like this.
right.
So that's what got heard.
Okay. We'll make that change, Maureen.
Yep.
Thank you.
So for the record, and again, there'll need to be a motion in a second.
As amended.
Yeah, I'll just
Okay.
say for that one, as noting on page 12, below Paul Dixon, underneath probably about 2/3 down the page, underneath when I say yes, for clarity, this is a motion to reduce this to 50 because after that, it would be Commissioner Woods on the next statement. My statement follows and then revised to Commissioner Woods on the next statement.
Yes.
And we'll amend that also.
Yep. So do we have a motion to approve as amended?
Yes, there was motion approved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioners Rose. All right, any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Good catch.
Yes, very good. EPC regular minutes, we got that one down. Okay, new business.
So I will do.
You taking it?
Yep, I'm gonna take it. So I got to, if it, so we'll behave. And I think you'll have to stop sharing as soon as I put it up there. Right, it's up. Okay, so this item. Sure. All right, so this item is the request for a bond reduction for 96 to 100 Payne Road residential development for the approved petition 2321 at 333 Berlin Turnpike. Applicant contact Scott Nielsen, owner residences at Newington LLP. I think all of you are pretty familiar with this site by now. We've gone through it a few times. Most recently, as was noted, it was reduced down to 600,000 from the $1.7 million that it previously was. So significant work has been done. Staff has reviewed the site with the town engineer. I've also handed out a letter from Matt Bruton from BL Companies, who also looked at that $90,000 that was discussed between the town engineer and myself, and then BL, the applicant's engineer, and the applicant themselves. We all came to the agreement that $90,000 would be sufficient or more than sufficient to cover the remaining work on site. And pretty much the work is done. Other than some stabilization, everything is in place. The items that are kind of staff concern were slope and soil management. Around the dog park, I have some pictures in here. There was an area where we found some subsidence, some cracking in the soil on the slope where we had a concern. I'll show you actually the pictures of that since right now. Put it up on the screen where they went and immediately put in a geogrid on top of it to see how this maintains over the winter. Again, it's an item. We've had no issues with the developer on the site. Any issues that have come up, they've addressed them. There hasn't been any lag. So, we're more than happy in continuing to work with them. But they went right out there, took care of this. And again, it's a little hard to see, but you can actually, there's a crack running around this thing. Just the soil kind of subsiding a little down the slope. But again, this is, as we know, Newington soil. It can be a little unpredictable at time with a lot of fines and a lot of clays. So it does take a little bit of work to get it to stay in place sometimes. So other than that, generally vegetative cover, the detention basin didn't have a chance to fully come in this year and just to see what happens. That was planted with a special wetland mix per the TPZs and the Conservation Commission's approval. So we want to make sure that that comes in and stabilizes. Some late planted trees do have their burlap and ropes still in them, and they're in the ground. So that will be addressed by the landscaper in the spring. Again, not good to have girdling roots and things of that nature. So that will be addressed in the spring. We told they put them in that way due to the late planting for the soil to kind of stabilize in the whole area around and then come back and do it. So we can kind of think of more or less like that those trees are the equivalent of nursery stock in place to be addressed in the spring. And other than that, what we have here for you, and let's see if it shares or no, I'll have to share it. Oh, it'll work. I just have to change my share because Zoom is not always cooperative. So this is a drone footage, so you can see the site that was taken on December 6th.
Can I get in on the narration?
If you like, the
Sure.
applicant is here.
Yes.
Let's do that.
It's smooth on my screen and choppy on that, unfortunately, but hey.
Scott Nielsen, representing the owners. I live in Amherst, Mass, 171 Gray Street. We are really pleased to be finished. All the paving is done. That we had a lot of soil to remove from the commercial site. So all that is completed. You will see that there's even a little bit of ice in the detention basin. To the immediate left of that, where the little snow is the dog park, and the soil, where the soil is stabilized. And we concur 100% with Paul and Chris's comments on the soil stabilization. It was placed during the mini drought. So we got rain and that was it. So that geogrid will stay in place forever and then make sure that that's stabilized. We've had, and Chris Sabidio, independently suggested that as well. So the internal, despite what you see, the predominance of the parking lot really does have a community feel to it. All the buildings have solar power that we are, making things a little bit greener. It's all electric. Managed to not take out all those trees, which I like to see personally. So this gives you a view back towards the Berlin Turnpike.
Yep, so Scott, if I could just a second, the
Yeah.
one thing I'd like to point out for the commission, one of the slopes that is subject to the bond, you can see it on the screen right there, kind of in the center.
Yeah.
That's adjacent to the wetland. It's all in place. It's all has slope stabilization on it, but it just hasn't vegetated. So that's another item that we're gonna just, to continue to watch and make sure everything stays in place and comes in.
So essentially, we've got to grow a lot of grass for $90,000. So we'll grow the grass, we'll give you the grass and you'll give us the 90,000. Sounds like a good deal. We, as Paul stated, we do jump on these things right away. And it's, it's not just compliance with the rules. We have a reputation to build. And we have about 56% leased now, about 20 units a month. We're really pleased with that. 143 are occupied. We've got over 200 residents now, and most of them are new to the town of Newington. So we will be, I think, hosting over 300 new folks to the town of Newington, and very happy to do so. Contributing to the community growth wherever we work is important to us. This goes to the interior courtyard. There's the swimming pool winterized and the little courtyard. You'll see those little yellow looking things. Those are fences around the patios, which gives the residents a little bit of privacy, makes for a really nice environment. And again, the amenities inside the fitness center and all that stuff is great. Anytime you want to drop by, just say, from the town of Newington, we'd love to have you even just come in and look around. So there we are, back to the Berlin Turnpike. And then I don't know what other YouTube videos are available.
Yeah, then we'll
So-
close that down.
Yeah. So I do want to stress that we have agreed with whatever, what Paul and Chris has said. And frankly, we built in a lot of different places, and it's not all the time that you find people, Paul, Chris, Doug Jordan, fire marshal, who can adhere to high quality standards. I don't want to say kept our feet to the fire, because they were cooperative about it. It was always reasonable. And what he's doing now for the stabilization is also reasonable. I think it's important. There's plenty of disagreements in the world. We ought to acknowledge when we have good agreements. So again, we are pleased to, I did think the last meeting was going to be the last one, then the next to last. Now I hope this is the next to last. But again, we'll grow a bunch of grass out there, make it look good. And, we'll see you in the spring when that is established, probably late May, early June.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I'd like to add, and we kind of discussed this a little bit earlier with Scott, similar to what we did on the front 3333, it is totally the commission's discretion whether you would like them to come back and see the stabilization or whether you were okay with staff handling the final release. I've included that on your draft motion again, this is totally at the commission's pleasure, whether you think that the current work there substantiates another return to that, or whether you think staff can handle it. And as I always remind, if staff, it won't be me, it wouldn't be, if there's an obstructionist somehow gets involved in it, they can always come back to the commission. So this is not something where staff just holds it and says, no, it will never be released. That's not our intent. Our intent is always to release it, but if you are okay with administrative approval for the final release, I would suggest that, again, to save them some time and, to have to come back to the commission again for grass and some trees.
Thank you. Any commission? Yes, Commissioner Droz.
Two quick questions. Quick question number one, grass notwithstanding, geofencing is, obviously we're grassing it to make it look pretty, sufficient to hold large dirt structures in place?
Yes,
Okay.
it's the same geogrid material. I mean, it's basically this really tough plastic, right? We used it behind the retaining walls. And I've actually had the occasion to use it in my own backyard. So where I had a flood from a spring. So I've seen it work, and so can personally say that that's what it does. And so there's no reason to ever take that out.
Second question, have we looked at any other places that just haven't started cracking yet, that are on the property that haven't had geofence put on them?
Yep. So I can say staff has walked the entire perimeter of the property. And this is really the one area where we saw, hey, there is something happening, and brought it to their attention immediately.
Right. And that's my thought is there this other parking lot over here that just didn't get enough where it hasn't sunk yet? I only ask because 90,000 to do grass and unwrap some burlap all day long to replace a lot of dirt could go quickly.
But that is true. I came into this project late, but the first thing I did was actually tour the site to look at these kind of things. Again, that dog park is unique because we had a lot of excess soil from the commercial site. And so I don't think that would have happened if it had, the conditions had not been in this mini drought. However, we are, because of that, keeping an eye on everything else. The land behind us for H.O. Penn to the north, that is completely stable. We have looked at it many, many times. Now, we're supposedly getting 2 inches of rain today, which is, I'm just glad it's not snow.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, okay. But, I came into the site, first thing I did is looked at that northern corner. So we've gotten habituated, to looking at those issues. So there's the bordering the commercial on the east. There's those slopes. Those are easily visible by our staff behind the garages on all the way to the north. And, that's been in place, well over a year and a half. And so it is, there was a part there south of building 3 that Paul was referring to, and that too was relatively recent. And so we had packed that in, and there's like 3 layers of the jute with, matting and hay in it. Cause I kept saying, add more, just throw another layer on it. So we will watch that. And it is, our understanding is that it's the soil everywhere that needs to demonstrate stabilization over the winter, not just in those isolated places. And we're comfortable with that.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Droz, did you want to try to go out and look at that site at some point? I'm just curious. I know you had mentioned earlier that maybe you might be interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than
Go
welcome.
for a ride. Love to.
Good.
We'll talk afterwards.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We'll go the first night of Hanukkah.
Be a cold then.
I know.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner Woods, you said a couple times grass. Is it actually grass that are on these slopes or conservation mix?
Well, in the detention basin bottom,
With the slopes.
the slopes are a standard grass. That's what was called for and approved. At the bottom, it is this wetlands mix. Yeah. So it is a wet mix by
Slopes you
people,
look to maintain.
but the people who do that, I've known them for 35 years they're in Amherst and that's their business. Yeah. Mickey and Julie Marcus. So but they charge like $600 a pound for that stuff.
And then this is really.
Yeah.
More of a comment than a question, but, you said you doubled and tripled up. Did you actually use jute netting? Or
With there, it's a
did you use
combination. There are places where there is jute netting. There are places where there is the green plastic netting as well. So it has been a combination.
Just from a practice that I've had, and I've been in this business for 50 years, if you start doubling and tripling that up, grass will not be able to go through it. So come spring, you'll have to take 2 of those layers off. Otherwise it won't grow. It won't push up.
But take that, yeah. Be happy to do that. And so, I can't take everything as a hypothesis to test, so we will keep a close eye on that.
You'll see where
Yeah.
every place you overlap,
Yeah,
that'll be the last place it fills in. And it's a very slow process. Just can't push through it.
yeah.
Any other commissioner comments? Okay, we'll open up to the public, see if there's any comments there.
Not a public hearing.
I'm sorry?
It's not a public hearing.
Oh, okay, that's right, got it. Okay, what's the commission's pleasure? We'll close, move it to old business to vote on?
Yeah, we'll close and move to old business, but it's
Yep.
already in old business.
Because it actually, so it's in new business and you don't need to close it. Again, this is just a bond release and it's actually, bond releases are interesting because they're not full applications either. It's just kind of an administrative function of the TPZ to release it. So again, this would just be under new business right now, whether you'd like to. I have a prepared motion for you. If you'd like to approve it now, you can. If you have any other questions, then we have other
Want to
questions.
approve it now? Yeah.
I'll read it. Request for bond reduction for 96 to 100 Payne Road Residential Development for the approved petition 23 through 21 at 3333 Berlin Turnpike. Applicant contacts Scott Nielsen, owner Residences at Newington LLP. Motion to approve with conditions. Motion to approve the bond reduction at 96 through 100 Payne Road, Milliard Apartments, subject to the following conditions. 1, the bond is reduced to $90,000. 2, the town planner with the concurrence of the town engineer is authorized to administratively release the remainder of the bond, subject to final inspection and approval of the site landscaping and stabilization during the next growing season. Reasons for approval: staff inspected the site on 12/3/24 and has found the site to be significantly completed with the remaining bond kept in place to ensure slope stabilization, vegetative cover, and landscaping items.
Do we need to
Can we
put
get a
in
second?
administrative approval for the next level?
Yeah, that's like.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great
Appreciate it.
project.
Yeah, thank you. We take a lot of pride in that. So it's nice to, it is nice to hear. Thank you. And Paul has my contact information to go over our business, but I would be delighted to, meet you out there as somebody. So anyway. Okay, thank you.
Okay, item B, TPZ bylaws.
Okay, so in your packets, it's really a very simple change that staff has proposed in working with the commission and discussion. We've had the previous discussion about how long public participation. Again, it's noted as 2 minutes. So this is under section 1.6 order of business, items D and N, which just state how many minutes, moving it from 2 minutes to 3 minutes. So that's the proposal that's in front of you. The bylaws are also able for you to review. You do not have to approve this tonight. If there are any other items that you'd be looking to modify, any other discussion you want to have, please feel free. This can remain on the agenda. But again, this is just what's been put out there for this. So if you'd like to move forward with this, or if there's other items you'd like to discuss at your pleasure, please let me know.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Fox.
just a quick suggestion to the chairman, Paul. You had the vice chairperson acts for the chairperson. You have in their absence. There's only one chairman at a time, so I think maybe you ought maybe put his/her absence. Sound a little better, that's all.
Yeah, I think think grammatically, yeah, there is, it's again, it's the there, it's the singular plural thing. I think it still stands. It could be changed, but I think it just there kind of has the same connotation, but that's the commission definitely can discuss.
I said you couldn't use his, you can't use her.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and then that was changed. The last revision that was done in 2022 did change all the gendered language.
it was, yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be his.
I think there works.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the commission? We can open this up to the general public or no? On this,
Not under this specific item, no.
okay. All right, so other questions?
And again, this is, and just reminded, this is just the administratively, these are administrative rules that you impose
Okay.
upon yourself.
Fine.
But you need a motion though.
We do
Yep.
need a motion.
Yep, so if you want to adopt it, I have put a motion,
right.
a draft motion for you.
I make a motion that we adopt, for the Newington Town Planning and Zoning Commission, the amended bylaws and rules of procedure. Proposed revisions, December 11th, 2024.
Second.
Is that moved in second?
Do you want me to read that?
You could, yeah, either way, I think the motion,
Oh, there was a
Okay.
motion? I didn't
Yeah.
even know that.
yeah.
Oh, it's there already.
Oh, I do.
All right, you wanna read it? Jane?
Okay, just to make put it in the minutes that the motion to approve the bylaws with the revision is to section 1.6, order of business, items D and N, to increase the time of public participation for each speaker from 2 minutes to 3 minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Thank you. Whole business.
None, we
None.
covered that.
Petitions for scheduling.
Yep, so this is, to bring it up to you, I think Eric has some printouts too. And we might have that available. I can put it up on the screen. So, we kind of noted, so I can say what I've done too is I went back and actually while reviewing the bylaws,
Thank you.
it actually doesn't say motions for public hearing scheduling. It says motions for scheduling in general. So what I would like to do is, and what I plan to do, and we may actually go back to some of the old ways it was done in reviewing kind of the agendas under Ed Meehan's time, that literally it had when it was received, when was the last day to hear it, just to kind of keep people in track of where these applications are tracking to in timeframes. So what we have under here is we noted at the last meeting that site plan modification at 207 Deming Street and 3066 Berlin Turnpike. So this is for construction of a new 6,000 square foot building for the fraternal organization of the Scottish Rite. What they have is we've issued them comments. They weren't ready at the last meeting. They're not quite ready at this meeting. Thanksgiving did take their engineers offline. Thanksgiving tends to take time for family, so time away from engineering. That's okay. But they've kind of preemptively asked them, they can make their timing by the next meeting. If something happens at the next meeting, then we would run out of that 65-day clock. So what you have in front of you is, actually, can you put that up and share it? Is a email from them that does say that they are okay with adding additional time. So it's a little unusual, and I'm mainly just doing this to kind of build the record and make sure I have in past received extensions, that the person consented to when extreme, situations arose that the meeting didn't happen. But I wanted to bring this to your attention and just kind of get a kind of unanimous consent from the TPZ that if something happens in the January meeting, we can't have it, that you understood that the applicant has said yes, in that case, that they're open to existing time frame to be added and that you're okay with accepting it.
I think we've done that in the past, Steve, right?
Yeah,
I
it's been a
think,
while. We've
yeah.
done it.
I just was remarking to Vice Chairman Woods that we've done that in the past where something has happened and both sides agree to go beyond the 65-day limit.
Yep.
So are you looking for that on this, or is it just guidance?
Yeah, so this is just that consent of the commission. Sometimes the commission does it by vote, sometimes it's just by unanimous consent that when an applicant comes in and says, I'm not ready, I need more time, I'm giving you more time, or consent to more time, that the commission pretty much doesn't turn it down because it's, there's no point in saying, no, we have to vote tonight when you're not ready and there's more time available. So this is just, if you want to make a motion on it, or if you just want to call for unanimous consent, so we understand this is me pre-planning for a thing, and the fact that this is here means there'll be no problems in January, but it's one of those items that we are keeping a close eye on the clocks.
What's the commission's pleasure?
As far as I'm concerned, I just do a consensus, which I think.
We'll do a consensus. Commissioner Walkerman?
Anything?
Huh?
I didn't have anything.
I
I'm
can't hear.
sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
What's your feeling on this here?
I think it's fine to do
Okay.
the extension.
I don't have a problem with that.
Commissioner Droz, Commissioner Fox, Commissioner Nafis, Commissioner Pascarelli?
Extension.
Okay, we'll do it by consent.
All right, and then
All right.
just an item to bring up, but again, I'm starting to revise this as I read through it, and again, it's just providing the commission and the public more information about how things are progressing.
Okay. Okay, the town planners report.
Okay, so the first item, as everyone knows, that's pretty much always up there, is the current land use applications. It's for planning and for conservation and ZBA all get posted there. So that's link is always remind people it's there. And then to move on to the update. So with all the business, I kind of got some for you to kind of say. So if people remember 161 Carr Ave, that was that small commercial building that is under construction. So that's moving along. 67 Payne Road, Sunbelt. So that project is complete. The CO has been issued, and that we did collect a small bond on that one. Again, it's just for landscaping that hadn't established. It was a low threshold.
And conservation mix.
Yeah,
again.
and conservation mix on that one. What was it? Perennial rye was planted instead of annual rye to stabilize it. So we were concerned that the potential that the mix won't come in and it will just be rye and it will be choked out. So they'll be reviewing that with their landscape architect in the spring. And if it's been choked out, then they'll be replacing that mix. And again, that was, a TPZ, but primarily a conservation commission requirement to have that mix in that basin that they made behind. So that project is, they're operating. There's been no activity on that 204 to 208 Church Street rear lot subdivision. 39 East Cedar Street, everyone knows the community room cafe is complete. They're open. As anyone watching around, go visit them. They're great. And they also have Neil's Donuts. So that's a thing. You don't have to travel. They're here in town, so you can go there in the morning and get your sugar fix. And then we have, as we all know, Milliard was tonight. And as he kind of noted that, that 152 units are currently leased, so that's 56%. So leasing is going well on that site. 3313 to 3333 Berlin Turnpike. We all know Kava, Shake Shack, Playable, PJ's Coffee is actually now open, and Sally's Pizza is under construction. And there's still no word on the Anchor grocery store. I know that's a question, but I was to say that there's still no word on that. We haven't seen any fit out permits yet. 80 Walsh Avenue, the
Sally's just start. I was in there the other day and it was still nothing. So it just started.
Yeah. Yeah, they were in there when I was there. They were primarily doing, actually, they were doing, I think, the plumbing and everything inside.
Yeah, they had an original contractor apply for the permits, then I guess they changed contractors because that contractor pulled everything back, and so whatever happened there. So that was a little bit of a delay on the building side.
No, so everyone, then 80 Walsh Ave, that was the Masonic Temple that the TPZ, when you reviewed it, luckily that was something, again, that is a flexibility in the town center that was able to be installed without having to go with a variance, because luckily someone did think through in the regulations in the past and gave that opportunity. Again, this was an ADA lift that was replaced, that's constructed, blends in with the building. So 227 to 231 Payne Road, the Pike, 151 units total. 25% of, actually 25 units are leased, so they're at only 17%. There's again a small bond on that just for pretty much the grass that's out in front. 280 Hartford Avenue, that was for the doggy daycare activity and
Parking
also
lot
and
improvement.
the parking, primarily for the parking lot improvements. They have started construction activities, so they'll be progressing with that. We all know the pickleball is open at 175 Lowry. So 2929 Berlin Turnpike, Casadoro. The as-built have been submitted. We reviewed it. Again, there was some landscaping that was not planted. There's about 6 trees, I believe, and some islands originally. So what they did on that site is the scope was kind of narrow what they looked at. It was just kind of the patio. But during the process, they decided to repave the whole parking lot, which is fine by us. It puts it in a better condition, but they also decided to take down the other remaining trees on the site. So those were outside of the site, but they decided to say, yes, we'll bond for those. They offered that. So we worked with them and,
Paul?
Yep.
One quick question. That detention pond that's in the back that was found, whose maintenance is that? Is that the town's or the property owner?
so it's
Property owner.
theirs, yep. And so one of the items we did note too is one of the contractors threw some concrete with some rebar into that one, so they've been told to remove it. So that's all part of this. But again, it's outside of where people would travel. There's a guardrail in front of it. If it was up front, I would have a big issue with it on a CO. But they are looking at an anticipated opening of December 18th. So that's when, they've been ambitious. It started off a little slow and then they went guns a-blazing on getting that project moving forward. I believe that the building inspector and fire marshal might be out there tomorrow too.
Yeah, they have
Cover another
regard, yeah,
inspection.
yep.
So they're looking at the 18th to open.
The only reason why I asked that question is because I remember, I think it was Ronnie Trematio used to go out and inspect these every other year. Make sure they're clean of debris and stuff. And that's something that I think, needs to be done again. Especially since nobody knew that one was there. And because if we don't, then they're not gonna function correctly. And so just
Yep.
making.
And as part of that approval, when that came to the TPZ, we did have the owner and their engineer hire a company to go in and inspect the system.
Right.
So they
Right.
inspected the system, they cleaned what they needed to. So we just wanted to make sure, because it was a change, that it does
Right.
work. And they removed some parking, and once you change the building, you kind of open up some questions, but they've been working well on the site. Hopefully they do open on the 18th, and the community, I've heard, is very much looking forward to that.
Well, my question still remains though, whose responsibilities are going to be to ensure all of these detention ponds are functioning?
Yep, so I'll talk to Chris on that. He does have his third person now, finally in his department. It's been a while since the engineering department has been fully staffed. So that person actually just started 2 weeks ago.
I think so.
Yeah.
So when we get our
Okay.
third person.
Yeah.
I don't want to add any more work to him, but I mean, like I says, I know, when I was talking to Ronnie Trematio last time I talked to him, he was telling me that the one at back McDonald's, which has got the 3 manholes in a row, that usually gets loaded with trash from the parking lot and stuff. And he used to have problems making sure that was clean to function.
Yep, I'll talk to the town engineer.
The same with the one down by Sam's Club. There used to be a lot of junk thrown in there too. All right, thank you.
All right, and so older projects that are still open. 712 Cedar Street, Wood Springs, we received the as-built. There's no formal request for the CO at this time, and we should be getting our as-built comments back to them shortly
Yes.
on that. So they're moving forward. It looks like they've resolved some of the electrical issues on site. And again, when I say electrical issues, it's people waiting for parts. That's been the biggest issue for every site, actually, in Newington.
They have one open thing with the building department. Something with the elevator shaft, but otherwise they should be good.
Thank
Yep.
you.
550 Cedar Street, Dakota. They're getting close to submitting documents for their CO. We have not received an as-built yet. We expect it next week. I've been talking with the developer there. So things are progressing. They have had the site surveyed, but they're just waiting for the as-built. We'll have to review that, issue them any comments, review the site, and then see where we're at. But they are getting closer to opening. And that submission of the CO is important, of the as-built is important for that. 690 Cedar Street. Again, the Spark, we know that I think the town manager noted, I think it was December 19th is the anticipated date for the closing. He did, I think, note that in the town council meeting last night. If you want to review that, again, the town manager's remarks are always at the end of the town council. From there, Culver Street, plans have been submitted. So this is AR Builders, the apartments on Culver Street. Plans have been submitted and building permits are currently under review by the building department. So that is starting to move forward. As we know, they all did the site clearing. A lot of the underground detention was put in. I witnessed a lot of that on at least one part of it, and they're moving forward. And Peckham Farms subdivision. So 11 out of the 18 homes have been CO'd and one is under construction. So that is nearing completion. Again, we do not have ownership of that road yet because they have not finished. They still need to put in the final course of pavement on the top, and the town engineer has to inspect it, review all their documentation, what they submitted on the road base, just to make sure everything's to town specs before we take ownership of that road.
And we converted to a maintenance bond that we hold for a year, and then we release that at that point. It's typically how it went in the past.
Yep, and then the last one, as far as projects, is Rockhole subdivision, the 23 lot open space subdivision. The site is cleared and utility work has been ongoing. No permits for houses have been issued yet or submitted. But again, they're working on the bones of the project first, the utilities, and then they'll switch to this. Yeah. So that's the project-oriented ones, or at least the projects that have been approved through the TPZ. The other items I would like to note is that we had the first public workshop for the Town Center Economic Development Master Plan on Monday. That recording is now online. It's online on our normal YouTube site, and I did send it to Colliers, and they'll be putting it on the website as well for the project. So I think that was a good meeting. Actually, people came out last night at the town council and talked about that too, and thought it was a good meeting, and I do as well. In the future, what we're gonna have is the next big meeting is likely in February, I'm thinking. You know, it's listed as January, February, but this will be the actual charrette, the design charrette. I'll be working with the consultant to provide hopefully some advanced materials ahead of that we can bring into it. I know there were some concerns from residents. You know, these charrettes they're a difficult thing to do online. You know, funny how math, they are a lot of in-person type of activity. There's a different way of going through it, but I'm looking at ways to incorporate online function of it as well, because I do want to make sure that we're incorporating as much people as possible, because not everyone can get out on a Monday night at 6:30, childcare, family, everything you need to do. A lot of people work second shift, third shift. So, you know, if we can incorporate more of our residents into the feedback, that's what I'm looking to do. Last night at the council, I had Stacy Vero from Preservation CT and Mary Dunn from the State Historic Preservation Office. They gave a small presentation, well, small, but a presentation to the council. Maybe not so small. It did go on for a little bit, but it had great information. Just generally preservation 101. The council had a lot of great questions about, you know, looking at our historic assets and resources. Our historic inventory has not been updated since 1979. So it has been some time. We're going to be seeking a grant to update that. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the demolition delay ordinance. You know, my concerns with the demolition delay ordinance are that, you know, if we say something like 50 years old, we incorporate almost all the town when you look at it. So it'd be every residence, you know, most of that, if we're looking at 100 years old, maybe not as much, but we're still doing that. I think, you know, if we can get this done, if we can work on that, get a grant to do it, update our resources, have a community driven process that reviews those resources, then it can be administered by the building department or the planning department. And just when one of these properties comes up, it's flagged, demolition delay goes in order, and the conversations can happen within the community. So that's the direction I'm moving forward on there. There are other projects I'm working on too, but I think that's kind of a good gist of where we're at.
Well, one quick question, if I may. Is there a time frame on filling out the questionnaire?
So the questionnaire should, so this,
From several people.
yeah, this survey, we're looking to close it sometime soon. We can keep it open a little longer if there's concerns. It's about 580. There might have been actually more after last night's, after Monday's meeting. And we were, we were also at the Night of Lights. So we talked to some residents there, and it was actually, those pop-up events are great because I've met a lot of residents who live in the immediate area. They walk down to the event. They didn't know that the study was ongoing because, again, living their normal lives, not on the town website, not on the town's Facebook. You know, these are our narrow areas to kind of reach out. So looking at more outreach, but being at these pop-ups is great because, you know, they have great ideas about what they're looking for. And again, they say, we walk here. This is why we moved to the Centerwood, Northwood area, the people who I met, and I encourage them to get involved in the project.
Have any thought been given to the idea of trying to put something in a reminder or a blurb or something like that? The Newington News that says this survey is ongoing and it has a cutoff date. A lot of people don't use the website. And again, there's a lot of older seniors in this town that don't necessarily use computers. So I want to make sure we can reach all the demographics and as many people as possible. You know, I know we did the last one, a 2030 plan. With planometrics, we had at the high school, we had quite a bit of turnout. I think probably 500, maybe, I can't remember. You know, and I'd like to at least try to get more people out involved in this here, because this is a major, it's going to have a major impact on the town center. So I'd like to get as much input to this as possible.
Absolutely.
Just a
Yep.
suggestion. I
And
don't know.
I'm more than open to suggestions. Again, we'll keep working through the process. Outreach is always a critical and sometimes difficult portion of the job, but it's necessary and, as I said, critical. So yes, we will keep pushing in that direction.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission? Okay. We have the communications from Prague letters that are here. Right? Okay.
Yep. And as I stated, if you have any questions on it, feel free to ask now. Feel free to send me an email. We can discuss. If you see trends in here that are working on other towns, you say, hey, why aren't we working on that? Let me know if they interest you and we can work in that direction.
Okay, second part of public participation, items not listed on the agenda. And now the limit is 3 minutes. Councilman Clerk, please come up.
Good evening. Not much to say, but just congratulations on our 3 officers on your reelection. And thank you for your continued work as a commission on a bipartisan and professional basis to preserve the best interests of our community. And a happy holidays to you folks. Take care.
Thank you. Anybody online, Eric?
No one online has their hand raised, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else wish to come up with public participation? Hearing none, remarks by commissioners. Okay. I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight, and I wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So move. Is there a second? Second. Thank you. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Adjourned at 7:58.
Oh, all in favor of adjournment? Aye. Aye. Thank you.